So Apple has announced a new feature that will scan photos and text messages for known images of child sex abuse. The company says they want to help protect children from predators who use communication tools to recruit and exploit them and limit the spread of child sexual abuse material.
The rollout, which is scheduled for later this year, has received praise and raised concerns.
But according to Apple's chief privacy officer, all flagged content will be reviewed by an employee. If child pornography is confirmed, the user's account will be disabled and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children will be notified. So whenever the government or private companies are trying to encroach on civil liberties or trying to expand their own power, they always go after the most vulnerable spot. And there's nobody out there, rightly, who would say, well, I'm a supporter of child pornography, so how dare you? And so if they then just allow this to happen, but if Apple is searching everybody's photos, and if the rationale is that there may be a crime committed in there, why stop there? Why couldn't Apple, search for tax fraud somewhere on your phone and alert the government that actually, hey, this Venmo here, this should actually be reported, and they should be paying taxes on this. Kim, what's your take on this?
I mean, I totally agree with you that this is the trigger point, right? They're saying, oh, it's child porn though, and so we must, and so people go along with it blindly without really thinking about the overall consequences of this. But I mean, listen, if they wanted to stop child porn, why don't they get it at the point of download? Right? Why can't they stop it from the websites? Why does it have to be, oh, they're going to go through all of my photos now in iCloud and going to scan, and then anything that they think might be child porn, which who knows what that even is to them? What do they consider it? Is it if you've got kids swimming in the pool and, maybe they're naked, or if you've got, and then they flag it, and some employee then is now going to snoop through your personal photos and determine, oh, no, that's just, the kids swimming at the pool, or that's actually somebody who's 18 or 19 years old who maybe looks young. I mean, what is this? This is terrible.
Yeah, listen, everyone on this panel can agree that we're against child pornography, trafficking, and all of the above, and credible efforts to combat that. Those are extremely important. This, to me, though, reeks of corporate surveillance and wanting to encroach more on users' data. It also raises many, many cybersecurity questions. So, Apple's now having even more access to your data, but then what if they're subject to a breach? So quite a bit to be concerned about. I would not trust this effort, and I certainly would not trust whatever random Apple employee is looking through what might have been flagged as child pornography, but could be, frankly, anything. A lot of questions to be asked, and I do agree with Ryan that oftentimes when companies want to venture into something that's widely unpopular and open to a lot of scrutiny, they do it under the guise of something that's well-intentioned. And I think that's what you're seeing here from Apple.
And why not other crimes? If they're just, why stop at child porn? Why not, like you said, Ryan, go after all? I mean, there's plenty of other things that they could be going after that are heinous crimes. They could be looking for murders. They could be looking for rapes. They could be looking for drugs. They could be looking for anything in these photos.
Well, and you guys would
Why
also
stop there?
Yeah, and you'd remember, a very important debate that was had was about Apple unlocking iPhones from known terrorists, and at times their refusal to do so. So again, there's certain crimes they've chosen to not be helpful in, and there's both sides of that argument. But then this is one where they're choosing, yes, we want to look at more of your data, we want to have more of your information under the guise of doing good.
No, you make a great point, because aren't they the company right now with all those commercials? Like, oh, it's super secure. It's just, it's just you and me. It's no longer all of these other companies. And now, aren't they the ones that launch those extra privacy? You have to agree, or a website has to ask you additional questions if you have an iPhone and all this. And then they tell us, oh, but we're going to be looking, your phone is secure. It's just for you, but we're going to be looking at all your photos.
One note, the detection system will only flag images that are already in the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, It's called the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children database of known child pornography. But the other question I have, and Kim, curious for your take on this, do we have any confidence that this would actually do anything remotely reduce child pornography trafficking in this country. Like even on its own terms, it's hard for me to see how this actually does anything, because this has been a problem that has been with us, for a very long time. These are disturbed, mentally ill people, who are I don't think are necessarily going to say, oh well, if Apple's doing this, I guess that's it for me.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of is reminiscent of with drug abuse, right? Going after the person who's addicted and then throwing them in jail rather than, treatments or something of that sort. And then really needing to go after the source of the material rather than just going after the people who might be downloading. I mean, obviously it's all bad and we definitely need to do something to stop it. And again, talking about child pornography, this is very triggering for a lot of people. This is going to be something that's, tugs at all of our heartstrings quite a bit. So
well, and
I don't know,
would
Alyssa, what do you think?
I would just note, even with the disclaimer, we don't have enough information about the technology they would use to do this, but there have been numerous cases, more in law enforcement, not specific to this, but crimes that were committed where people were wrongly actually perceived to be somebody that their database had, and it ended up, and there have been many, many documented cases of people being unjustly arrested because there was some sort of a gap in the technology. So I think this is a bridge too far. I think there's many, many effective ways to combat this. This is not the right one.
No, and Alyssa's cybersecurity point is a really interesting one too, that every time you create another one of these pathways for Apple into, or any company into a particular part of your phone, Apple's not the only one that then is going to have exclusive access to that. That is where hackers claw their way in. And since we're apparently comfortable allowing Israel to kind of export hacking technology to authoritarian countries all over the world through the NSO group and through others, then that's giving one more vulnerability to these companies like that they can then deploy against journalists, against human rights activists, against politicians.
Well, let's also not forget the Russians are hacking Americans every single day. It's our new stage of warfare that we're in. So this opens us up to many vulnerabilities.
Well, I guess the moral of the story is store your own photos on a hard drive, right?
And the moral of the story is Apple should back off of this too.
Yes. Yeah, well, that's for sure.
And we'll have more Rising for you right after this.